Hello my friends and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. I don't know about you, but for me, if I need someone to, perform some services, let's say, or maybe, repair something, build a house or work on my car, or, do something for me and I pay for that service, I expect that person, and I'm trying to get the person who is the most knowledgeable person that's trained for that and has the not only the credentials but the abilities that I can, as much as I can, figure out that this is the best guy for the job. Which means if I go to the doctor, I don't go to the doctor because the doctor is, a female, or maybe because she is a attractive female doctor. I go over there regardless who that is. Could be a doctor, a dog doctor, or a cat doctor. I don't care, as long as that person is the best in doing what is trained to do and fix the why I'm going over there, the reason why I will look for that person's services. That is normal. It is abnormal, and I think is inefficient if you look, for instance, I'm going to go only to this kind of doctor, which is, over 300 pounds. Or I'm going to go to that kind of doctor who is, has only one eye. I will go to the other doctor who, is white or black or, has green eyes. If that is the criteria of selecting your person who's going to provide you with services, you will definitely not end well, and you will be inefficient. You will have possibly you take chances. So what I'm trying to say is you go to the person who's has the best abilities for the job. The same with hiring. You have a company, you're going to hire someone who, in your assessment, has the best qualities for the job. And then you put him on the job, see how that person performs, and if he doesn't meet the standards, your standards, you can fire that person, get another one. Because after all, you hire a person to perform on the job, not to be suave or be a poet if you're working in construction. You don't going to hire a pretty poet, to lay pipes or something. So, with all this being said, we have a U.S. Senate GOP candidate. His name is Blake Masters. This article comes from NBC News from August 29. And this Senate GOP candidate, Blake Masters, suggests diversity at Federal Reserve is harming the economy. That means that in this guy's assessment or opinion or information, he thinks that the Federal Reserve Bank, which is a private bank, just so you know, is nothing federal about it. It's just hired by these weasels to control our money and our interest rates and all that, coordinate. He thinks that people are hired based on other characteristics that have nothing to do with the job skills needed to do the job. And put that in the context of what I said. If that is the case, then you will have a lot of loss, financial, and possibly their decision will affect the rest of the country, and not only. So Blake Masters, the GOP nominee for a Senate seat in Arizona, suggested in a sarcastic tweet this week that the sluggish economy and the high rate of inflation were tied to diversity in the high ranks of the Federal Reserve. And I'm quoting, "Finally, a compelling explanation for why our economy is doing so well," end quote. Masters, who has been endorsed by President Donald Trump, wrote Sunday in retweeting an Associated Press article with a headline, "Fed tackles inflation with its most diverse leadership ever." So Associated Press issued and made this report, and I read that article, and I listened to other media people talking about the same issue, and the Fed tackles inflation with its most diverse leadership ever. So They say because of the leadership of the Fed being diverse, they have some programs now for all that. You gotta get into that and be surprised. That is the cause why they are doing so well with inflation. If there would be just, let's say, one group, but only one group, that would be bad inflation, bad. But if you would have only one group but a different kind of group, I'm guaranteeing they will not ask for diversity. You know what I mean? The article noted that more female, black and gay officials are now weighing in on interest rate decision making than ever before in the central bank more than 100 years history. So Masters defended his remarks Monday in a video on Twitter, and I quote, "I don't care if every single employee at the Fed is a black lesbian, as long as they're hired for their competence and not because of what they look like or who they sleep with," end quote, Masters said. News for Joe Biden's, "We are done with this affirmative action regime," end quote. Of affirmative action, Masters said, and I'm quoting, "I can't think of a single policy since the end of Jim Crow that's been worse or more divisive for race relations in this country," end quote. Well, and this is the article that Associated Press posted. It says, leadership at the Federal Reserve has become its most diverse ever. There are more female, black and gay officials contributing to the central bank's interest rate decision than at any time in its 109-year history. That's another information here. Now, it says that they talk about how much money he will get for his campaign. Masters has frequently invoked race and drawn on culture wars in order to most closely watched Senate races. In one of the most closely watched Senate races. In an appearance on the podcast, the Jeff Oravitas show in April, Masters said, and I'm quoting, "Black people, frankly, were responsible for America's gun violence problem." In May, he was among the group of conservative candidates who invoked versions of the Great Replacement Theory, end quote, a conspiracy theory that claims there is a plot to weaken the influence of white Americans by saying Democrats want to give amnesty to thousands of immigrants to claim them as voters. Masters has also disparaged black women, having previously argued that Supreme Court Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson, the first black woman confirmed to the High Court, was, and I'm quoting, "a horrible pig and an," I'm quoting again, "affirmative action candidate," end quote. Well, we know that Biden wanted a specific person from a specific group, excluding every other 1,000 groups. So I don't think that was the best candidate, because if you, from a pool of this, this big, and you pick only from this group, but you ignore the rest, and you say from this group I picked, let's say, the best. Well, it's best from that group, but not from the pool that you had at your disposal. So you ignored what, 84%, since the blacks are what, 16% or so. So 84% of the population Biden excluded. So maybe over there are some other people more qualified than this person. So don't you think that this person should feel insulted by doing this? Because she must know that she was picked, Biden said it, not only, that she was picked from this group and everybody else was excluded. It's like you go for a job interview and you know that out of 1,000 people that applied, they're going to pick only 3, Romanians, and the rest are out. And you know that you actually competed only against other 2 Romanians who are candidates, but not everybody else from the whole American poll. So don't you feel insulted? You know, well, I'm the best out of these 2, but out of those 3,000 that applied, maybe there were about, some that maybe were better than me. Would you do that if you were be a private company? Would you do that? Would you get only the Romanians to apply and that means limiting your available candidates that might be very good. So that means it doesn't mean that I might not be the best of everybody else, but you, from the very beginning, you limited yourself. So he also said here in Monday's video, Masters also attacked Vice President Kamala Harris, who he said was, I'm quoting, so incompetent she can't even get a sentence out. And I'm quoting, there's such a thing as fairness. We're going to end this unfair and incompetent affirmative action regime, Master added. Well, that's what he said, and you might agree, you might disagree, but I am for fair competition, meaning anybody can show up with the right credentials, obviously, and be heard and put on the job to perform. Because you can come and say, I have this experience, I have this education, I work with this, I work with this, I work with that. Okay, you look at, okay, the person, you think they can work with that person, but then you put that person on the job and then not satisfied. So I would, and a lot of companies make a probationary period where they test you for a while and see if you are as they thought you are, and if you're not, they let you go and start the process again. And I think that's the way it should be. You have to be the one that the company is looking for, and that's quality of your abilities to perform on the job. I don't care if you're a little people, or you're obese, or you are, I don't know, a person who bulimic person or something. I don't care. But here you have this kind of forced, I don't want to go deeper than that, and is not based on quality, because it limits the pool of people who could apply to this or that, and they look for that. As this guy said, I don't care who you sleep with, I don't care how many times you jerk off, I don't care what your color is, I don't really care. All I care is for you to show that you are the best candidate for the job. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.